Good Shabbos from Jerusalem. We're about to start in a few hours Shabbat, my favorite day of the week, to be in the holy city of Yerushalayim. Tonight to go to the Kotel, to the Western Wall as one big family. Not just one big family, Nechama and I. Not just one big family with the mega mission from Miami. But every Jew, wherever that's going to be at the Kotel tonight, from all over the world, we are all one family. We pray together, we sing together, we cry together, we laugh together. That's very, very special. This week, I got to spend some time in the Hell of Hells, which was in the Auschwitz and Majdanek, and once again walk through the streets and walk through the places where 6 million of our brothers and sisters were senselessly murdered. Over 1.5 million of them were children. But what I think about the most when I leave this spot is not as much about the 6 million people that lives were sacrificed, but about the 250,000 or whatever amount of survivors that survived that hell and left it. And I think about the sacrifice that they had to make. The sacrifice they had to make is put their pain and suffering and the trauma that none of us can understand what they went through, and every single day live a life of meaning and purpose. They didn't leave the Holocaust and say, oy vey, we're just gonna give up on life, but they went out and got married and started families and started communities and started yeshivas and made this beautiful world that we have today. They were the ones that sacrificed so much of their feelings and their emotions and their pain every single day of their life to build the Holy Land of Israel, to build communities all over the world, to make sure that Judaism not only survives the destruction of this Holocaust, but builds even bigger and more beautiful and more meaningful and more life and energy. Their sacrifice is what inspires me. When I meet a Holocaust survivor, I say, wow, you are the holiest of the holy. This week's Torah portion talks about sacrifices, and it talks about animal sacrifices. But since the destruction of the temple, which is right behind me, we don't do animal sacrifices. We need to do other sacrifices. Sacrifice our time, our energy, our financial situation, our health. We need to sacrifice that. Sacrifice it for what? For the greater good. Sacrifice that for our tradition. Sacrifice that for our connection to God. Sacrifice that for our beautiful communities, to build communities, to give up something of ourselves to make a greater good. You know, a lot of times we just focus what's good for my family, what's good for me personally. We can't do that. We have to be willing to give up of ourselves to build this world and make this world the most beautiful place, just like the survivors and the people that have to sacrifice for themselves every single day. That's what we have to do. You know what? We do sacrifice our time and money, but the question is, what are we doing it for? Is it just for ourselves, or is it to build this world and make it a godly world? You know, my dear friends, sometimes you ask yourselves, what was the most miraculous period in the history of the world? And some of you could think maybe it's Hanukkah, maybe it's Purim. I say right now, today is the greatest period of sacrifice in the world. Why? Because we came from the hell of hells in the Holocaust, which was the darkest period of history, and today we see the greatest light, the greatest holiness, the greatest building of the Jewish world here in the Holy Land of Israel, in communities in Miami, in California, in New York. Going from that darkness to that light, the light that we're living today, that's the greatest miracle. So the message of sacrifices, the question we have to ask ourselves and we dedicate ourselves to willing to give up of ourselves to make the world a holy and godlier place. As dark as other people want to make it, we have to sacrifice even more to build the world. Shabbat Shalom from Jerusalem.